going to go over the 3 ways that we do here to make sure that you're able to close that sale. And I've used it in every industry. I've done cold calling, I've done door-to-door, and I've done inbound calls. The first step out of those 3 steps is the discovery phase. In the discovery phase, you need to learn about the business. You need to find their problems. By doing that, the only way you can find out is by asking questions. And what a lot of people get wrong is they ask questions, but they also give answers, and they assume a lot. And the goal is not to assume or to give answers. The goal here is to listen to the customer speak, because what you realize is that the more they talk, the more information you're able to gather. And the more information you gather, the more problems you find. And the more problems you find, well, the more solutions you have. All right, so we're just gonna go over a recent scenario. There's 2 options here. We have option A, which option A, I'm just gonna assume, right? So I'm gonna assume everything, and that's usually what a sales rep would do. And then option B, where I'm just reading through the script and I'm asking the questions. And we're gonna go over the 2 scenarios and see how they meet in the middle and the differences and what happens towards the end. This company, it's the name of the company is Roofing Pro. I'm gonna assume that they're a roofing company when I go through these questions. So the first question is, what does your company do? That's what's on the script. On this question, as a sales rep, I'm gonna say,
Awesome. Well, obviously you're in the roofing industry, but what exactly does your company do? And then in terms of service, is it more repair? Is it full-on roofing? What exactly do you guys do in terms of that?
next question is, how much are you spending on ads? And this client's spending $0, so not spending anything on ads. Next question is, how many leads have you gotten in the last 30 days? And 3 leads is the answer. 3 leads.
And I know it's a new business, but mostly the normal is about, I'm gonna say, anywhere between 16,000 to 25,000 per project, depending on the leads and how it goes. Since it's a new company, I will eventually expand more.
Then the next question is, we want to understand your revenue. What did you make last year? Where are you this year? And what do you want to make next year? He said, actually, I didn't make anything last year. I'm a new business. I just started 3 months ago. So then we asked him, how much have you made this year? And he said 100,000, around there. And then the goal for next year is 1 million. Now, if I'm the sales rep and I ask these questions, I'm already at a point where I'm like, dude, this lead is not going to work for me. The guy's a new business, right? And statistically, new businesses, they don't really have a foundation, right? And they don't have the capital. They don't have the money. And it takes a little while to run the ads because we have to create a new ad account, create a new website, create new social profiles. All that stuff takes time. It takes more than almost 2 months to kind of get rounded up. As a sales rep, this would be a bad lead. I'm just going to pitch it. I'm going to try to get off my line and go to my next call. All right, so now let's look at B. If you do read the script and you go through all the questions and you let them talk and you kind of like, so to speak, act dumb, then you get more answers and you'll see how. It's funny because with this customer, I called him back because I listened to the call in training, and I found out that this customer really needed to be asked questions, right? And I wanted to also prove that, hey, asking the questions is going to help close the deal. So I called him, right? And I went through the same opening, same question where I can ask more questions, right? So I said, is it okay if I ask questions? And then he says, yes. And so at that point, I ask, what does your company do?
Just very briefly, so roofing repairs, maintenance, everything related to roofing. I was in a joint roofing company with my brother. So we worked together, but I separated from him. I'm separating. Last year was a very busy year. I think we won like 12, 15 million. Now I'm starting my own business. What I want to do is I want to do all residential, commercial, industrial, and pretty much all types of roofs.
Now, we're going to pause really quick. That answer right there definitely changed the trajectory of the call. I've got so much information. I just found out that he's a new business. I found out that he had an old business. Found out that he scaled it to 10 mil. Found out that he sold and he did a majority of the sales. So I know mentally that if I send him leads, this guy's going to close them. So he's been able to grow a business from 0 to 1 to 10 mil, and he's been able to do it successfully. So, and just like we all know, if you've already started one business, it's very easy to start another one really very fast if you go down to rock bottom, right? So that's really good answers I have here. The next question is, how much are you spending on ads? He said 0. How many leads is he getting?
I am bringing a lot of my customers with me because of
Perfect.
the relationship. And like I said, once we come into a customer, we're like their roofers. So they refer me to family and whatnot. So I am bringing a lot of the leads with me, but I'm also looking
Perfect.
to get more from you guys, more towards like HOAs,
Yeah.
kind of get exposed, like get
Yeah.
out there.
So that happened. Then we asked the follow up questions, right? So, how do you follow up with your leads? And he says that he has no CRM right now, but he knows he needs one because he's had one in the past, and he knows how important it is to have one because that's how he was able to look at his numbers on the sales side. That's how he was able to scale the business because he knew if leads came from Google, if they came from Yelp, if they came from a different source, he can track that and he can attribute that towards his revenue. And so he knew how important it was by having a CRM. And then revenue. Revenue, I already kind of anticipated this, but same thing. Last year, didn't have anything. This year, remember, we're in December. This year, he had 100K in 3 months, but he wants to hit 1 mil the next year.
But I am just waiting to get my insurances because right now it's taking like 2 to 3 months to get insurance, which what I heard from the CSLB. So I'm on month second, so I should be getting it anytime next month.
So I asked the same questions on option B, and as you can tell, I get a lot more information, right? I know he needs a CRM, which is what we sell as CRMs. So I know that he needs that. I know he understands the importance of tracking. He's done it before, so he more than likely already has a system so he could speed up. He's grew into a $10 million company, so he understands the importance of how fast to follow up with the leads. He knows how to sell, which is more than likely going to be a very successful campaign. Let's talk about the second phase. This is the sales phase. This is the phase when, we're going to ask for the money. We're going to tell them what package we recommend. Based off all the info they've given me, I'm able to give them a price. And the questions we had, remember, what does your company do? And also his revenue. He has not much revenue, so it's hard for me to basically justify charging him a lot or charging him anything tremendously high for Google, even though I know that the cost per lead is going to be high. And I'm going to assume based off of that he doesn't have much ad budget now because I'm assuming here. Remember, I'm assuming. And so here's how it goes.
So, but yeah, first things first, we're going to want to be starting on your website ASAP. So when that insurance comes, you're good to go. And then the next thing is we'll be building you out a complete CRM as well. So we'll set up automations for you so those leads are responded to right away. So not only do we want to help you with your marketing, but we want to put things in place to where you can actually do something with these leads, right? So they're not just all coming in and not being responded to.
And so with all of that, I recommend our marketing package, and it costs X amount of dollars. And basically my closing line on this is
What questions do you have for me?
now the questions this guy had before they get started was, okay, well, Facebook ads, I get it. Why do you want to do Facebook ads? Well, because Facebook is gonna, bring in your leads at a low cost. And being a new business, I would imagine you don't have a huge budget. So I want to make sure that I can generate leads fast for you. The only thing I need from you is to be able to, call those leads as fast as possible because meta leads do need a lot of hand holding.
I would like to know if you guys are able to kind of help me advertise there, and also Yelp, and pretty much what you guys where else I can advertise.
So the client starts basically guiding her into what he wants. And so in sales, you want to have control of the call, and whoever has control usually wins, right? So, and the person that has control is the person asking questions. So when the customer is asking questions about why she's offering this and he wants to do Google Ads, why not Google Ads? Now he's controlling the call. And now all this person is doing is on defense mode, answering all his questions. And so this call, to make a long story short, becomes a callback, and she never follows up with it because, this lead is pretty much dead to her. To be quite honest, it's a small business, new business, and he probably won't be ready for another year when he makes his 1 mil. So she'll probably follow up with him halfway through the year just to see where he's at in business. So now we're going to go over option B. Option B, this is when I'm asking all the questions, right? This is when I'm understanding more about his business. I have gotten a lot of information based off of the answers he gave me. So now I can use all of that. I'm writing everything down along the way. And so with option B, it's very easy. I'm just going to say, thank you, Mr. Customer, for providing all that information. It really helps me understand more about your business, where you are today, where you came from, and where you want to go. And, seems like you made a big shift. You were with, you were with your brother running that $10 million company, right? It's not hard to leave a $10 million company and start on your own. So kudos to you for that. But the cool thing is I know that by you running that $10 million company, we both know that you can do it again. And so based off the information you provided, I know exactly what to offer. You're a new company, and you know what it takes to get to the 10 mil, and you know it takes some money to run ads to get there. So what I'm going to recommend is our marketing package. And the reason why I'm recommending this is because, we want to do Google ads. We both talked about it. You said that Google ads is kind of the way to go. You can close them quickly, and that you just want to bring revenue in, and you don't care about cost because cost will go down along the way as the campaign optimizes. Meta ads, I want to throw those in there, but I don't think you're ready for that yet because you are operating alone. And so I want to make sure that every opportunity you get doesn't become noise. It becomes actual leads that are interested in your service. And on Google, we both know people aren't practicing their typing skills. They're looking for your services. And then the second thing is the CRM. You mentioned that you had a CRM and you were able to track everything. And that's exactly what we do, is we want to make sure that we create a CRM where you can see the lead sources, you can see where these leads are, whether they're a new lead, they're being followed up with, if you sent a proposal, how much you have money in sent proposals, how much you're closing, and then where they're tied to. Are they tied from Google? Are they coming from Meta? And that way we can scale appropriately, just like you did with that old company. And so those would be my recommendations. And based off the information you provided, that would be our marketing package at X amount per month. This is a perfect scenario on why you should be asking questions and listening more than speaking. In sales, they say listen more than talking. So you got to listen, let the person talk, and gather the information they're giving you, because a lot of that info is valuable. It's like going to war. You have bullets. If you shoot all your bullets, then you're out. But they're giving you bullets that you can shoot, right, to help them get to that next phase. You want to make sure you're listening, let them give you the ammunition so you can be able to help them, get them to that finish line and get them closed. Because remember, whoever's asking all the questions is in control of the call. All right, now we're in the third phase. This is the phase when it gets I love this phase because you start walking around a little, your blood starts pumping. This is the part where you get a little antsy, you get scared to start getting that credit card, right? Everybody gets antsy in this part. A lot of people let this part go. And I like to say that you have salespeople and then you have closers. A closer will get to this part and they master this part. And if you can master the closing part, then you'll be a very good sales rep. So option A, right? I'm assuming the client basically says, hey, thank you, person. I want to go ahead and I need some time to think about it. Thank you for that. What's your phone number? What's your contact info? And can you send me an email? And the only way that I can try to close this is by asking why. Why does he want to wait a few weeks? And that is what happened. So we ask why. And he says, well,
let me review the document. I will more than likely be getting the insurance next month, so obviously right away.
But if you could send me an email. The sales rep has no meat, right? And so all they can do is just try to come up with urgency, right? Saying, oh, well, we only work with one client per industry per area. And now they're bringing this up, and the guy knows already automatically. He knows what she's doing, right? We're business owners. We know what they're trying to do. And a lot of times, and specifically here, he basically says, email me, and just she lets it go. Option B I'm asking all the questions. And the cool thing is that I've written so much stuff down. I already anticipated this close. I already know what problems he's gonna have before he even gets there, and I've kind of prepped it in the sale. I mentioned it a few times, so when I go to the closing, I can then bring that back up and say, "Hey, remember when I brought this up? Remember when I brought that up?" Well, the guy did say that he did have a business previously, right? And so he had a business with his brother, and he talked about how he needed a CRM, he needed Google Ads, so he knows it takes time. So now I know in my head, okay, I'm going to use this, and I'm going to explain to him that it takes time. So when we go into the objection handling and he says, go ahead and email me, I'm not ready yet, and I ask him, that's fine, I'll email it to you. But if you don't mind me asking, why do you want it emailed to you? What's the reason why you don't want to do this now? Well, he states, well, I need 2 weeks, I'm getting my business license. I'm just trying to understand what my budgeting should be before I get there. And I say, absolutely, I completely understand. I would be the same way. You want to make sure you know how much it costs so you can budget properly for your business. Now, how long is it going to take for you to get your business license? Oh, it's going to take 2 weeks from what it states. I already submitted it. Everything is going through properly. I just got to wait for the approval. And so what I bring up is, hey, remember earlier in the call, I said a CRM takes a few weeks to get started. And remember I talked about the ads? That takes a few weeks, right? And your website is going to take about 3 weeks. We have to go out and we have to film. And then after we film, we have to edit the videos. Then we have to send it to you and you have to approve the videos if we don't have to edit them again. All of this stuff takes time. So it's great, actually. You wouldn't even need to, if you got started today, you're not going to run ads. It's going to take about a month to go live. And then after a month of going live, then it takes about 2 weeks to get a lead. So you're looking at about 6 weeks from there. So if you do it now, actually, you won't have to wait another month and a half after getting your license, right? Waiting 2 weeks to get your license, then probably calling me a week later, renegotiating and going over this whole conversation again, and then spending another hour or 2 hours on the phone. What we can do is just get this over now, right? And get this past your list, because you're going to do it anyways, right? You know that you had to do it with the old company, right? When you got to 10 mil, the only way you got there is by marketing. By me being able to collect the information on the script, I was able to answer and go through his objections with the answers he gave me. These are not answers that I'm giving him. He gave them to me. So I'm using his words, the ammo that he gave me. I'm now shooting him with it and saying, dude, you gave this to me. And so now this is how you get them to a close, and this is how you're able to close your deals. All right, so the point here is, option A, you kind of get to a point where you're assuming the sale, and this is why you're more than likely not closing. Option B, if you go through your script and stick to your script and just let the person talk, write stuff down, get those key points, use them later. You know you're closing, you know the objections people have, so by them giving you the answers, you're able to kind of go over those objections prior, right? Get the answers that they're giving you so you can use it against them. So if you like this video, go ahead and give us a follow or like the video or subscribe, and send a comment if you guys want to see more videos like this. Thank you guys.